What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of The Green Dream right here on Turfs Up Radio. I'm your host, Luke Trukin, and I have a exciting episode today. I have a special guest, James Ciamillo, founder, CEO of Landscape Pros. Jim, how you doing this morning?
Doing pretty good.
Awesome. So you are here in Dallas, Texas.
Yes.
For work stuff. And you are from Fort Myers, Florida, and we'll get into that in a little bit. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what you're doing here in the Dallas area over the next few days?
So we're going to be shooting a few videos for our website, doing some marketing, doing some recruiting videos, talking about our sales process, what we do, and how we get in front of our clients to generate quality, satisfied customers and quality leads.
Nice. So you've come to headquarters here.
Yes. Yes.
to get some video work done and kind of help with the sales process and some of that stuff. You guys are also in a what would you call it? Coaching program?
So we are in a coaching group with the Grow Group, McFarland Stanford. So they've actually helped us, with our budgeting, helped us with our marketing, and got us in touch, so, we're a small group that meet, we have about 9 other business owners. We meet monthly, and we actually, we meet in person at somebody's facility every quarter. And, we try to create a nice peer group, and it's always about constructive criticism and how we can learn from each other's mistakes and excel at those.
So That's really good, and I want to kind of talk about this for a second, because on the show we talk about. I try to explain to people that expos, the different things along the lines of that, are great ways to not only go and see where the industry is going, but I think it's more important to go and make those connections so that you can either form those peer groups, on your own. Find the people that you mesh with across the country that you can kind of be like, hey man, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? I'm doing it this way. What do you think about that? Like, what's working for you? Here's my challenges. Because if I know a lot of people have friends and stuff in and around their local market, but sometimes it's cool to get a fresh look from somebody that's doing things completely different from the East Coast versus the West Coast, or the central United States versus another part. And so I think it's really, I think it's awesome that you guys are in this. And so what do you think the biggest takeaway has been from being in a peer group, being in a coaching kind of style program? Like, what's been the biggest takeaway? Would you say that other people need to think about getting into something like that? What do you think the size is that people should start looking at a peer group, or actually getting into more of a structured coaching program? Like, what's your thoughts? Because you've been in one for a little while, right?
So this is actually going on our 3rd year with the McFarland Stanford team. And, it's great. Every business that wants to grow, you're going to have growing pains.
Yeah.
Even though I'm a 3rd generation landscaper, times have changed. My grandfather, up until a few years ago, still advertised in the Yellow Book. And, now that my cousin took over that business, now they have a beautiful website, but it was a huge transition. So what we know today is going to change tomorrow.
Yeah.
Being able to have that camaraderie and confidence with other coaches and other business owners to be able to reference and ask them, have you come across this problem before? It's a tremendous asset to our company. If we've only been in it for about 3 years. If we would have been in it for about 6 years, our business model would have totally changed. We used to specialize in residential maintenance, and we got to the point where we got rid of all the residential maintenance, where if we would have been in that coaching group, they would have been able to say, you know what, let's take this off of your plate. Let's get a manager in this, and our business would be double what it is now.
Oh, wow.
But we didn't, hindsight's 2020. Yeah. We didn't realize that. That's part of the growing pains.
Yeah.
So now we're just looking forward, and we're just adding on for 2023. We just added on a new construction commercial contract with a track home builder. So we're projected to do about 200 new construction homes 2023.
Oh, wow.
Plus all the common grounds.
Yeah.
So we've actually, prior to signing our life away on that contract, we were able to talk to other companies that already are doing track homes with the, nation's biggest builders, Lennar, Pulte, Meritage, and things like that. And we said, is there anything that you see in this contract that we should be aware of? Some of them said, well, payment terms are not in this contract. You need to put that in there. Otherwise, it's going to sink your ship faster than you could fill it. So, things like that. Those are some of the benefits that we had with the coaching groups.
Yeah. So that's a great point. And I don't know, you just have, you just get in a room with people that are doing well and they're successful and they want to grow. And especially like when you find people that are actually interested in doing something with their business and you put them all in a room, awesome things happen. Like, when you have people like that, they usually get together. They're not selfish. They're not necessarily looking for like what's in it for me all the time. They're usually people that are willing and able to help you grow, or just willing to say, here's what I did. Or like you said, hey, can you look at this contract? Is there anything I'm missing here? Because I've never done this before. And you pull that knowledge. It's so important. And so whether you're doing something like an actual coaching program or a peer group that you're paying for from a company that puts those together, or even just finding the right connections when you're out at expos or, something along the lines of that, and you're meeting those people and putting that stuff together, you don't want to be the only one, that you only know what you only know. And so that's such an important piece. So third generation landscaper. So talk to me about the early part, like talking about growing up, like did you know, like, dude, landscaping's my thing. Like this is where it's going to go. Talk to me about the start of like when you first got into this. Like what did the beginning look like?
So, my grandfather, out on Long Island has a big tree business, and in the summers and winters used to go up and work with him.
Okay.
So, I have two older sisters. They would go with my grandmother shopping every single day. And, she couldn't keep me in the house. And literally, I would say, since I was probably about, 6 or 7 out at job sites,
Nice.
If it, started by dragging a stick and dropping it in front of the chipper, and then, big logs, and then chainsaws and stump grinders, bobcats, and it was very lucrative being young and seeing some of those things. We worked at the Snapple sisters' house, and, two of the biggest, most, beautiful houses. And I remember meeting the founders of Snapple, and, they just, they took a shine to me and walking their jobs. And, we did Howard Stern's, and,
oh, wow.
Out there in Long Island, New York, you could go, 5 blocks and then now you're in some of the mansions, so seeing some of those properties and meeting some of those clients, some of the wealthy hedge fund, gurus that are out there, getting to see, their Ferraris and things like that. It was very lucrative for me. It was somewhat pretty fun, growing up, doing some of those things. And then in high school, the neighbor across the street, their mower broke down. And I was out one day and it was just, hey, can you mow my grass? And I'm like, man, that's pretty easy party money. Yeah, sure. So, and then it all of a sudden started, that neighbor, the next neighbor, my grandmother was on the block behind us. I used to drive the mower over to my grandmother's house. So now all of a sudden it was, Saturday and Sunday, I was doing, 20, 30 lawns in the neighborhood. Yeah. And, back then, no fuel, no insurance. Great. It was pretty lucrative. So, then I transitioned to college. I said, I'd really like to maybe do something a little different. I got into crime scene.
Oh, no way. I didn't know this.
Yes. I actually was doing crime scene. And then I also was doing golf course design and landscape design management. Okay. So I was doing both. I I got both degrees.
Oh, no way.
Yes. When I graduated, that was when we hit the big, 2007, 2008 bubble.
Yep.
Every municipality, the sheriff's office, yep, we got a position for you, but it's not crime scene. It's, you could go work in the jail. And I wasn't too fond of that. My father had been in corrections for years, and I've seen horror stories, and you've seen the fights and the things like that. You hear about stuff like that. So that was not for me. So I transitioned back into the landscape, and that's where my wife and I, started Landscape Pros.
Okay.
Yep. Yes.
So talk to me about the beginning of Landscape Pros then. So what? It just was like, boom, we're now out mowing residential?
So that's exactly pretty much what it started. We were actually in the process of buying our first house.
Okay.
And we met a realtor that was he was a pretty heavy hitter in our local market doing investment homes. So it started out as, hey, I got 10 homes. Can you go and mow them? And yeah, sure. Then all of a sudden when the interior remodels were done, the outside pressure washing and painting was done, I said, let us throw some plants in here. Let us put some palm trees. That's what everybody comes to Florida for. And we built a relationship with that realtor like that. And in the course of the first year, I'd say we did over 75 homes, turnkey products. We were started to do irrigation, started to just do some basic designs. We created like just a quick package for him, 20 plants, 3 palm trees, give it some curb appeal. And then his other buddies, his other realtors started to see that turn. And all of a sudden, it was a trickle effect.
Yeah.
And then once the houses were, mainly when they were sold, if the homeowner wasn't going to do their lawn themselves, they kept us on as their service provider.
So you were coming in, doing the design work, making the house look good after the remodel, and then you were selling him maintenance of the property until he sold it?
Exactly.
Okay,
yes.
Nice.
Yes.
And then as soon as they sold, you were pretty much coming back in. It's like, hey, we've been maintaining the property. We know the property. Mm-hmm. Keep us on the property.
Exactly.
Nice.
Exactly. Yes.
So it almost sounds like it was a lead with the design and then pick up the maintenance afterward. Were you out actively picking up maintenance too, or was it just kind of like a secondary thought and everything's kind of started around the design?
It was kind of a secondary thought. If we were there, and somebody came out and approached us, then we would go and pick up that account. But it was never hanging door knockers. It was never soliciting the neighborhoods. It was always they would see our design work. 9 times out of 10, we would just put, instead of a for sale sign, we'd put like a Landscape Pro sign out there.
Yeah.
And, our colors are bright red. So it was always a bold statement. So when the neighbors came home, I'm glad, the neighbors finally, did some work, and they would see our sign. And that's how, we grew our residential just in Cape Coral to over 385 homes in about a year and a half, 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Mostly through yard signs.
Yes.
And word of mouth.
Word of mouth and yard signs.
Wow.
Yes. Yep.
Wow. So starts with what? One crew?
Yeah, that was actually my wife and I.
No way.
Yeah, Sydney used to drive the truck. And
oh my gosh.
She used to drive the mower, and we had a big grasshopper then. So, she still to this day, she could drive a truck and trailer better than most of any of our crew foremen.
Oh, no way.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Yes.
So by what? End of year 1, year 2, what are you doing? You adding on a truck?
So by the end of the first year, because it was really nice because everything was all kind of centrally located.
Okay. In Cape Coral.
In Cape Coral, yes. Okay. So we would go to one block, and 9 times out of 10, that one block, we would do 8 to 15 homes.
Holy cow.
So it was, by lunchtime, we'd have 30, 40 homes done, and we'd go till, 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon until the rains came. So at the end of year one, we kind of transitioned Sydney from going out in the field to starting to do, obviously all the book work.
Yeah.
So, that's always that's the main component of everything. Anybody could do the work, but if you're not good at collecting the work, what's the point?
Yeah.
So we really transitioned her from out in the field to doing the invoicing, doing the collections. That's where, if we would have known what we knew now with some of our coaching groups, we would still have that residential market, and we would just streamline that process, automatically bill with a credit card.
Yep.
Or ACH, debit. And, hindsight's 2020, like I said.
Yeah.
So we would probably still have, at least, almost $1 million in revenue if we had that streamline now. So, that started to transition from the residential market. For a while, I was still running that crew until it got to the point where we had to add another crew. Then when we transitioned there, I somewhat pulled myself out and started doing more sales. Okay. Mainly focusing on the HOA commercial side. Okay. I started to think once you add a crew, that's where, that's where the chips fall.
The stress starts to come in a little bit more when you have more people than just yourself or just one guy or something like that to take care of it. It becomes a bigger issue when you are now no longer in the day-to-day and you're no longer manually working. And now you have people that, maybe they're really efficient or whatever it may be, but they're cranking things out. And then next thing you know, you get a call. Hey, we're done. Yeah. Holy cow. What's the next job and stuff like that. So this is what, year 2?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. So year 2, you're stepping out more. You're bringing in more people. Yes. You're slowly transitioning into HOA and commercial work. Yes. Was that just because you were tired of the residential headaches, or you just saw more money in commercial, or what was
a little bit of both? Okay. A little bit of both. Mainly it was, labor is the toughest thing to manage, and
that was when? 2011?
It was about 10 and 11. Yeah. Yeah. So,
it's not getting better and it's never been better.
Exactly. So, we had crew leaders and, it was like every Monday, if the Patriots played or whatever their football team is, and they, it was a late game, I could just almost set my watch, 6 o'clock, I'm going to get a call that he's, not coming in. Yeah. And now now we have, 40 houses to service today. How are we going to do it? So, I started to look at that, now instead of having 40 happy clients, now you got 40 pissed off clients. And
40 more properties to keep up with on Saturday. Everything gets pushed.
Exactly. Exactly. And then we still had the rest of the crew. We still had 2 other employees that didn't have license. And it wasn't fair to them. So we started to think, how could we navigate that to have less overhead and less mistakes? And that's where the commercial properties were more lucrative for us. Let's get them out and have them make 1 to 2 stops a day instead of 40. Yeah. So that's where we started to transition to the commercial side of things.
Okay. So we have to switch over here to a break really quick with some of our awesome sponsors, but don't go anywhere. We have more with Jim with Landscape Pros here on Turfs Up Radio. We'll be right back.
Have you considered artificial turf? It's great for areas with high precipitation, which means no mud after a heavy rain and no more mowing wet grass. Today's artificial turf is made using recycled materials and helps to reduce water consumption in areas of drought. Turf Envy's artificial turf is constructed of quality raw materials, safe for pets, humans, and our environment. With decades of experience, our staff can help with support, training, and product education to give you confidence when estimating a project for a potential customer. Learn more at turfenvyusa.com today.
You're listening to Turfs Up Radio, the only radio station of its kind dedicated to the green industry. Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey everybody, Wayne Voles, the Prophet, your host of Profit Time here on Turfs Up Radio. If you listen to my show, you know I'm all about profit. As an industry, profit is something we fail to meet most of the time. If you're working hard but not seeing the results that you deserve, Profits Unlimited is here to help. We offer processes and systems designed specifically to make your company more successful, more profitable, and certainly more efficient. When you're ready to take your company to the next level, reach out to me at profitsareus.com. That's profitsareus.com. And don't forget to turn into Profit Time every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services? We call it Green Care and Snow Care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen, creating a greener, healthier, cooler Earth, 1 yard at a time.
What's going on, guys? Welcome back to The Green Dream right here on Turfs Up Radio. I have my special guest, Jim with Landscape Pros. And so we were just talking about the transition from residential to commercial. And so if somebody's listening right now and they're like, man, I'm in residential right now and I'm thinking about making the transition over, what is the thing that you would tell them right now about thinking, like weighing the pros and the cons? You've been on both sides of the coin. Now you're doing 100% commercial work on the maintenance side of things. I know you've already said, like, man, if we could go back, we might have done things differently. What would you tell somebody right now about what they may be considering, or what they should be considering if they're on the cusp? If this is you in 2011 or 2012 getting ready to make the transition, starting to make the transition, what would you go back and tell that person right now?
That's a pretty heavy loaded question. So in some of our coaching, one of our coaches told me, never say no. Let your price say no. We've turned down so many things by, I would just say, no, we don't do pressure washing, where I could have a guy out on a Saturday and, instead of saying no, we could do that pressure washing for $2,000 or, whatever it is. Try to grab as many services as you can, because for us, we have a very competitive commercial market. And if we don't do tree trimming, they're going to find another company that does tree trimming. Yeah, we do irrigation. We do, the shrub trimmings. We do the fertilization and pest control. So we've tried to bring all of that in-house, whereas some of our competitors, they have 3 to 5 subcontractors. And what will happen is subcontractors will fall short, and that's where we get the phone calls. Hey, can you come service our property? Keeping all of those services in-house as best as possible, or managing it in-house, creates less of a headache for the clients, less of a headache for the property managers, which makes it more lucrative for them.
Nice. So is there anything along the lines of, like, if somebody's thinking about, I'm doing residential, going to commercial, drop residential, go to commercial, slowly transition? Should they do both? What do you is it case by case? Like, what is your thought process behind that? Should they look at going to HOA properties? Because I know you do HOAs, but you also do other commercial spaces. Should they think about commercial spaces over doing residential? What does that look like for them? Like, any thoughts on how they can go into commercial if they're looking at that, if they're trying to make the transition over?
So that's a great question. It's all on a case by case basis. I was young and dumb, and I just pulled the plug. And then, after the month, realizing, oh, wait a minute, our income just took a substantial blow. Do I have to lay employees off, or do I have to get my butt out there and start selling a lot of work to keep these good employees on? So it's going to be a case by case basis, but the marketing is the most strategic aspect of it. The commercial side and HOA side is all about relationship building. And that's not just, dropping a business card off. That's bringing coffee and donuts, once a month. It's, taking them out to some of the networking events, buying them a drink. It's always a get in front of their face, and always be asking the question, what can we help you on your properties?
Oh yeah. Yeah. The relationship building a friendship almost with the strategic people to kind of get your foot in the door.
Exactly.
So that if they're thinking about something, they're like, oh yeah,
yes,
I know a guy.
And that's where they'll start to tell you, well, this company, doesn't do the tree trimming, and some of the bigger companies, like Brightview and things, they're just in it for the numbers game, well, all right, now you know how to work your sales approach, So when you go to meet that client, you know that the current provider is just working on a sales number where you need to focus on customer service and details. So you always have to ask the right question and then provide them with a good answer. On how to correct that problem.
That's a good point. I want to ask this question because I'm curious to know what your thoughts are. I get a lot of people that tell me, Luke, we're commercial. We don't need a website. We don't need marketing. Everything is handshake, buddy deals. Do you find that you pull commercial jobs at all off of Google? Are there people that ever contact you from the website for commercial projects or any of that kind of stuff from marketing alone? Or is it truly just a handshake, buddy, make the relationship kind of deal?
I'm going to say it's both.
Yeah.
I want to say it's about 50-50.
Really?
So, and it's also, the buddy deals are, bringing coffee and donuts, going to the networking meetings, going to the building industry meetings, doing some of the golf charity events and things. But the website, the website is lead generation. That's people that are actively seeking things. And that's where you have the opportunity to get in front of somebody and you have that opportunity to ask the right question and show them the right answer.
Yeah, that was a loaded question because I already knew the answer to this, but because I've seen the leads.
Yeah, yes.
But wanted to hear it from your mouth, not from mine. No, that's good. That's good. So transitioning, you've made the transition over. Now you're doing. You pretty much it sounds like cold turkey. You said
yes.
Bye residential. Next month you're like, oh shoot.
Yep.
I don't have any more residential jobs. Now I have to go hustle it up. And I'm sure you already had some commercial and stuff by that point, but it was like oh wow, we have 2 days worth of work now. Now I have to go find the rest.
Yep. The conversation actually went. I told my wife, I said, if the phone rings and one more person says it didn't rain at their house, I said, that's it. We're done with the residential. We had that. We sat down, we had that conversation. And it was less than 5 to 10 minutes.
Oh, no.
The phone rang. Where's your crew? It's not raining at my house.
Oh, my gosh.
And I said, that's it.
Cold
turkey. We dropped about, a few 100,000 in maintenance clients.
Holy cow.
In just a blink of an eye like that.
Wow.
So we gave everybody 30-day notice and, sold the accounts and, cold turkey.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. So waking up then the first of the next month, it was just oh man, where do we go from here?
Exactly.
Figuring that out and stuff like that. So 2-3 crews then, where are you now from a crew perspective? Fast forwarding to today, how many people, how many crews?
So we're running about 20 to 28 field employees.
Nice.
So that's also on our install team, irrigation, pest control, and the maintenance side of things.
Yep.
So we've transitioned. We're running about 2 to 3 maintenance crews, and we have one pest control tech right now. But with going to some of the networking events, we used to have 2 pest control techs, and we got it's all about working smarter. So, we got a big Z spray and we're able to do the same production and the same quality with, less overhead.
Yeah.
So,
there you go.
Yep. Irrigation side of things, we We have a few techs mainly doing installs and, commercial maintenance. And then we have the design build side of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was the trend? At what point did you go from kind of hustling it up, everything's word of mouth? When did you build your first website? Like, when did the website initially come into play in the scheme of beginning to where we are right now?
It was very shortly after we transitioned from the residential to the commercial side of things. It was all of a sudden, it like I said, it's about the relationship building. So we would have to get in front of the property managers and the commercial managers. And, the first thing that they're doing is they're trying to vet us to make sure that we're a legit business.
Yeah.
Make sure that we have our license, insurance, and, an office phone. And so like that first month was a big learning curve, we can't even send our clients to view some of your work. And that's when it really dawned on us. Okay, we gotta get serious. We gotta build this, website so that we can get properly vetted.
So it became more of a credibility situation that needed to take place. As look, we are legit, than necessarily lead gen. It was more of a, we got it once they know who we are, we got to have something for them to go look at our stuff, be able to access, and kind of go from there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Yeah.
Okay. So here we are, and you guys are mostly commercial, 100% commercial on the maintenance side of things now.
Yes.
And that is HOAs, that's commercial buildings.
Yes.
All of that kind of stuff. You guys do high-end design build for residential.
Yep.
And then you do design build, new construction and stuff like that. Well, you picked up the new construction track homes stuff coming in 2023, but you've also do the new construction side of things on the commercial side, correct?
Yes, correct.
And so what does it look like in the sense of like managing all of that? What does your day-to-day today look like? What does, Carlo and those guys are kind of running different pieces behind the scenes? Like, how much do you kind of outsource? Like, what does the day-to-day of your life look like today?
2023, we have some New Year's resolutions for my day-to-day operations. It's been challenging. Last year we had an operations manager, and, at the end of the day, the operations side of things were just, falling short. So, our management staff, we're getting together. We're creating basic standard operating procedures. So these procedures, every truck that goes to an install, I don't care if you're doing a rock job or if you're doing a mulch job, or, you're going to have this tool on there. You're going to have, this rake, this wheelbarrow, making sure that everything is organized and set up. But, we have our CAD system for our designs. We make sure every crew has a full scale CAD design printed. Wow. We get 90% of our plant and hardscape material that gets delivered to our shop.
Okay.
So we have color coded holding areas. So if they're going to, the Smiths or the Joneses, Smith is over in color block yellow. The Joneses are in color block blue. Let's get everything loaded. This way, it also makes sure that we're able to check the quality of the material before it gets to the job site.
Nice.
So we've had some issues previously last year, stuff getting direct shipped. We will direct ship, full semi loads, but some stuff getting direct shipped and it not meeting our quality control.
Yeah.
And that's, obviously overhead factor.
Sure.
And that'll lead us away.
And just cutting out the nursery time.
Yes.
Letting guys sit at the nursery waiting to get loaded.
Exactly.
Letting them be quality control, making sure that the guys that are pulling the plants are not pulling crappy plants, and then you get crap plants loaded. Then you end up at the job and you're like, what's going on here.
Yep. Exactly.
That's huge. I know one of my biggest headaches, and we just didn't have holding space to do that. But that was one of the things that I really wanted to do because I hated sitting at the nursery. And I would try to set it up where I would go, even though it was one of the best use of my time, but I would try to go pull the plants, get the plants, take care of the quality control, wait in line, work on my computer in the truck at the same time. So I would try to get some things done or whatever, versus letting the guys go sit at the nursery for an hour or two, waiting to get loaded. And then I would get to the job site when they would roll up with all the plants and they're stacked. They're, like I hate when people stack plants like that and they're crushed, and they had a whole half a trailer. They stacked everything on the first half and then left the whole back half of the trailer empty because I guess they just wanted to stack plants. But you get there and there's like 5 or 10 plants that are crushed. They're just not possibly installable. And, that was just such a nightmare. So having a yard, and then it sounds like color coding is massive. Like,
yes.
Who sorts them? Is it you, or when the truckload comes in, you automatically go, okay, we need 5 plants here. We need 10 plants here. We need 7 of these here. And they just automatically, when they get pulled off the truck, get sorted right into the house that they're going to?
For the most part, that's what we do. If the job is in the next 2 weeks, we throw them into those proper zones.
Okay.
But just having a nursery, we're actually going through almost every Friday, setting everything up for next week.
Wow.
Pulling weeds, fertilizing the stuff that needs to be fertilized, and then we also, with having our own nursery, if we have to pull something out for warranty, we bring it back and we nurse it back to health. So we're not, we're trying to recoup some of that overhead.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I've never heard of somebody doing that, pulling a plant out and saying, hey, we're gonna nurse this thing back to health. We're gonna bring it back.
So with our subtropical climate, we have some 3-gallon plants that are, $80, $100.
Wow.
So, we have some exotic, species.
Yeah.
Especially some of our palms, if they start to decline a little bit, we'll pull them back and, we'll nurse them back. It might take, 3 to 6 months, but, if you do that on a large scale, it affects our bottom line.
100%. That's amazing. I love that. That's a very unique idea of a way to kind of save overhead and pull some of that out, especially on stuff that's pricey.
Exactly. Yes.
So
I will say some of that plant material has made it around our pool, but and it will never make it to another job. But
that was one of the things I loved too, is like you'd have extra stuff in the yard, you just take it back and use it and stuff. Like my parents' house at the time was always like the Arboretum. Like they were known in the neighborhood. I was known in the neighborhood by their house because people would they'd be like, like, where do you live or something like that? And I'm like, oh, the house with green grass all year round. Like they were like, no way. And I'm like, yep, that's it. Perfect flowers all the time. And all of that came from extra stuff from jobs.
Exactly. Yes.
Never paid for any of that stuff. Yep. But yeah, it's good. That's good. So I want to go into a few interesting things because we have, obviously a ton of other clients, but there's nobody really does this like you, which is really interesting. And I think you just have a unique ability, but I want to see if you can expand on this because I want other people to kind of pull on this. And we've kind of found a sweet spot, I think, for you in these irrigation installs where people are coming in looking for irrigation systems. It's interesting because it's always fun to learn different areas of the country and how people do things there versus how people do things here. Because I've been so used to what our market does that it's interesting to see other markets and see how they do things. And so here, you can't build a house in the city, at least, without a sprinkler system. Like they get put in. There's just not a lot of new construction sprinkler systems that go in unless you're doing track home stuff. Unless you get out into the outskirts, you're doing custom homes, stuff like that are really like built on an acre, a couple acres, and those get sprinkler systems added on after the fact. But you guys have an interesting market in the sense of you have homes that go in with no sprinkler systems. So we found this, I think, niche piece of running these highly targeted ads for sprinkler systems. And you can tell me what the answer to this is, but I know there's been numerous that have come across the line as $80,000, $100,000, $150,000 jobs that came down from somebody looking for a $2,500 sprinkler system put in.
Yes.
There's not a lot of people that I know that most times I get clients that will call me and they'll be like, Luke, we don't want these $2,500 jobs. We want the $150,000 jobs. But I think it's interesting because you'll come in at the $2,500 job and you'll sell them the $150,000 job. Yeah, we find the $150,000 jobs right off the bat, but you have this unique ability that I've seen that not a lot of other people are really doing. And it's coming in to what may be a smaller project. And I want you to tell me about this. Like how do you convert somebody that comes in and goes, hey, I'm here to write you a check for $2,500 and now they're writing you a check for $150.
It's all about asking the right questions.
Okay. What is this? So, give me a scenario. Like, what does this look like? Like, walk me through this.
Usually when I go out, to look at an irrigation install, we ask, what are your needs for this, irrigation? What are your future plans? Are you going to build a back paver patio? So do we not want to put, irrigation here? Are you going to want to build, a water feature? Are you going to want to incorporate, palm trees? Are you going to change your, circular driveway? So it's all about asking the right questions. And then, I always just tell them, well, if you're going to build that outdoor kitchen and the paver patio, why don't I just give you a price on it now? And, and we take that irrigation install, we put it onto our CAD and our 3D design program, and that just does all the work for us. Giving the client a realistic expectation of what everything is going to look like is a tremendous selling value. So it's all about asking the right question. We tell them, hey, we want to make sure that we're saving you money and you're not going to have to call us in 6 months or a year to have us come and remove, this whole zone for irrigation to do those pavers and, do the plantings and the water features. So it's all about asking the right question and then navigating that to give them the right answer.
Boom. And I think that's amazing. And it almost is like you're getting in, not only finding out what their dreams are / maybe helping paint a vision for their property, but you're also simultaneously, by asking those questions, painting the picture to them that you are the man, like you are the expert. I'm sure that nobody else going into that situation, if they're getting bids from other people, they're saying, great, yeah, we do a 6 zone. Boom, we're going to put heads here. Boom, we're going to put heads there. Here's your price, in and out, ready to go. But not only are you giving them those ideas and they're like, wow, that's a great idea. I haven't thought about that. Or, oh yeah, this guy's saving me money because why would we put a zone in here and it's going to get cut and recapped and rerouted 2 years from now when we put the patio in or whatever. You're not only doing the vision painting, but you're also painting the expertise by asking the right questions so that people are like, this guy knows what he's talking about. This isn't his first day on the job. Like,
exactly.
Exactly.
And 9 times out of 10, we're the first contractor there, to do the irrigation.
Yeah.
When they budget a project, okay, we got to do irrigation first before we do the plants. So 9 times out of 10, they're already anticipating that future result. They're anticipating doing the plants, the trees. So it's about asking that right question to get in front of them. And then you already got your foot in the door. Even if they say, well, you know what, we're not ready to do it yet. We got to wait 3 to 6 months. You still put together the proposal. You show them, you know what, let me get you signed up today because, I'll lock that price in for you. And then it just eliminates the rest of the competition, even going out there. So, yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Yep.
There you go. So let's transition over to hiring and recruiting and staffing, because I know this is a big issue across the board. It does not matter what part of the United States you're in. Some areas are a little bit better than others, but everybody's in this issue. And like we talked about a little bit at the beginning, it's been a problem for as long as I can remember. I know I've had mentors in the space that started their companies in the 90s, and they were talking about how it wasn't good then. And there was a lot, there was more people than there are now that were willing to work in the green industry and physical labor and all that kind of stuff. But it was a problem then in the 90s. And now moving all the way up to now, it's just been worse. And so what are you doing for hiring and recruiting? What are you doing to make sure that you keep people? Is it a constant thing that you're doing? Like, are you constantly like recruiting? What does that look like? Because at 28 people in the field, like there's going to be some turnover at those numbers.
There's challenges.
And there's just a lot of things, moving pieces. There's a lot of things that have to happen with that many people. And so open the hood for me. It's like, tell me what a little bit of that looks like. Maybe you're talking to somebody that has one employee, or is hiring their first employee, or hiring their second crew, or they're worried about expanding. I get too many times where guys are like, dude, I don't want to go bigger than one crew or two crews because I don't want the headache. Like, and that may be fine for them, but talk to me a little bit about what that looks like for you guys, what you're doing, and just expand on
the HR model is constantly evolving for us, constantly evolving. It's cheaper to keep an employee than it is to recruit them. So we're constantly trying to do training. We're trying to keep them loyal to us. We're instilling our company core values in them almost weekly. We're trying to mold them into almost, better people. That's obviously that's our goal. They come from 6:30 to 3:30, but we want them to not only we don't want them to start with us and stay on a weed whacker for 20 years. We want them to evolve. It's very challenging for us being down in South Florida. We have a very heavy Hispanic population. I speak very little Espanol. So it's very difficult. We have over 8 different dialects of Spanish in our current crew. Wow. So the conversation I might have with one employee means something totally different to somebody else. So we're really trying to do everything that we can. We put yard signs out, for recruiting. We want to try to recruit within. We try to do that first as well. We give, cashback bonuses to, after an employee's been with us 30 days, whoever referred them gets a bonus. So we've done things like that. We've also done the Facebook recruiting, which has been tremendous. When we have to go outside of our network, that's been a huge success. We've done Indeed, ZipRecruiter. To me, I could pull $100 bill out of my wallet, light it on fire, and I think I think Indeed sucks it out and burns it faster. Yeah. So, for Indeed and ZipRecruiter, they're great for people that are not looking to run a weed whacker or be on the end of a trencher or shovel. They're looking to expand their careers into the sales. So when we're looking for those salespeople and the designers, we'll turn to there because, it's just all about
a different level of person potentially that's on the Indeed and ZipRecruiter. Do you find that foreman and management stuff are there too on the ZipRecruiter and Indeed side of things?
Foreman is very hit or miss. To get a foreman on Indeed or ZipRecruiter, it's just hit or miss. Yeah. Just to even get any employee to show up or a potential employee to show up for an interview, I think we're 1 out of 10 right now. Yeah. So, it's tough, and it's something that we are constantly doing. It's not just okay, we need an employee, we got a big job, it's always, okay, let's try to be on the forefront of this. If we have a big job that comes up, we want a backlog, 15 applicants that we could call. Hey, we need you on a Saturday. You willing to come in? Or, hey, we just picked up a new job. Are you, ready to start with us?
Yeah.
So, and it's a song and dance, it's just, it's always about, keeping in touch with them, even though, they did an interview and we didn't hire them that day. We still reach out to them, 30, 60 days, hey, how are things going? You remember you said you were unhappy. If something changes, we're here. We're ready to, take you on.
Yeah.
So
it's not a one and done situation. You really got to have the follow up afterward to keep them in your
exactly
world to some extent.
Exactly.
Yeah. When someone comes in, are you painting the future for them in the interview process? So you're saying, hey, what does that look like? Is it like, hey, you're going to come in, here's what you're going to start, but here's where you want to go? Like, what does that look like?
That's what we strive for.
Okay.
We ask them, okay, what are your current skill sets? Where do you think you want to see yourself in 3 months, in, a year, 2 years, 3 years? Let's face it, nobody wants to go work in the 105 degree temperatures that we have.
Yeah.
So,
with a lot of humidity.
Exactly. So a lot of humidity, a lot of rain.
Yeah.
So nobody wants to do that. But, we paint that picture, okay, if you start on these properties, and you manage your crew, you manage the properties. And as our company grows, we might be able to transition you into that account manager role. And now you're still on those same properties that like the back of your hand, because you've been maintaining them for a year, and you already know the board president, you already know the property manager. Well, now, we're giving you an option to make more money, to do upsells, and, get out from that heat. So we're trying to paint that picture for the team.
Yeah. We're here, be a 20-year employee or 30-year employee with us. Come actually, be a part of something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Be a part of the foundation blocks.
Yeah.
It's easy for you to go, work at the large Bright View and, Juniper and, Davy Tree Service and things like that. But if you want to help build something, let's roll up our sleeves,
Yeah.
I'll be in the trenches with you.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that the employees see, I know every employee's name. I'm usually out every morning, even if it's, just to say, hey, good morning, buenos dias, how's it going?
Yep.
If you need something, and give us a call. So, yep.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's what I see the companies that are able to retain and grow and get to 20, 30, 40 employees. It's the people that actually care and do the steps like that, because if it's anything less than that, I feel like people are they're constantly pissed because they're just the wheel is turning so fast that they never
feel
get
unappreciated.
Yeah. And the owners are just like, what's going wrong? And I'm like, man, it's just, I hate to say this, but nobody wants to work for you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, you can kind of see it. It's funny because sometimes, and I've been there, where you get in a place where it's like, I'm providing a job for you. You should be grateful for this, like all that kind of stuff. And that's that's almost the wrong mentality. Like, you're grateful for them. You have to kind of like lead with the empathy, lead with the gratitude, lead with,
exactly
the personnel skills versus the opposite. But it's interesting when you can kind of come into a situation. At least I've been able to see this a couple of times, and you're like, and it's I think easier for an outsider to look at the problems necessarily sometimes than the person that's in the day-to-day trenches of it, because you kind of get a fresh set of eyes. But sometimes I'm just like walking and I'm like, you're the problem.
Oh yeah. I've been the problem before, And I've learned that's been some of the growing pains. I've learned from some of my mistakes. Don't wait for an employee if they've earned a raise, don't wait for them to come to you to ask you for a raise. We've had phenomenal employees leave for, 50 cents a dollar and, they've earned a raise and, sometimes they got to be recognized for it. And sometimes it's not a raise. Sometimes it's a bonus. Sometimes it's just saying, you know what, guys, look at what we accomplished. We did a great job. Thank you. And, that word thank you sometimes means more to them than the money does.
Yeah.
Yep.
Or one thing that I had to catch myself doing is that I would walk onto a property, be walking with the homeowner, and the guys were working on something. And the homeowner would be like, wow, you did such a great job or something like that. And I would take the credit.
Exactly.
And then there was a light bulb switch that happened at this moment. And I'll have to tell you this story sometime, but it was early on. I had these guys just completely like walk out on me. It was like a staged coup. They just hated me so much. Like I was just kind of a tyrant boss, and they just walked out. Like that was the turning point in my world where I was like, something's got to change. But it was after that I was like these are the guys you got to thank. Like, yeah, we're doing a great job and all that kind of stuff, but these are the guys like thank these guys because, and you put it back on them. Like there's not a lot of other companies that will give them that much credibility. Like they'll hear oh yeah, I work for this good company or whatever, but sometimes they don't get recognized almost individually. And I think that goes a long ways when you're able to make it personal and be like, yeah, Jose's doing a great job here. Like he's killing it on this or whatever.
Exactly.
And you're right. I think sometimes that goes further than another
raise and a bonus.
Here's
Exactly.
$200.
Exactly.
So
yeah. At the end of the day, they go home to their spouses, husband or wife. They go home just a little bit happier, just knowing like, hey, I did, I did a great job today.
Yeah.
So,
the pride.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. We gotta jump over to one more break here, but you guys are listening to The Green Dream right here on Turfs Up Radio with my special guest, Jim with Landscape Pros. We will be right back.
Are you still mixing station gas and oil for your string trimmer, leaf blower, or chainsaw? Eliminate the mess and the guesswork with True Fuel, the original pre-mixed 2-cycle fuel. True Fuel is ethanol-free and precision-engineered for small engines, improving performance and extending the life of your outdoor power equipment. And True Fuel is available for both 2- and 4-cycle engines. Empower your equipment with True Fuel. Learn more at TrueFuel50.com.
You're listening to Turfs Up Radio, the only radio station of its kind dedicated to the green industry. Now you can even ask Alexa to tune you in when you're home.
Are outdated spreadsheets and whiteboard scheduling costing you jobs? Or is a lack of consistency between crews causing your bids to differ from job to job? Or worse, delaying critical invoices and payments? Crew Control offers all-in-one business management solutions fit for every trade. From bidding and scheduling to invoicing and integrating payments, Crew Control provides real-time visibility into your crew's efficiency, whether you're in the field, in the office, or even on vacation. Manage your crews more effectively and improve business performance with Crew Control. Start your free trial today at crewcontrol.com.
From the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world, here's to all the women in the green industry. Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you so much for listening to The Green Dream right here on Turfs Up Radio with my special guest, Jim with Landscape Pros. So you had a hurricane not that long ago.
Yep.
Two hurricanes. And I think especially the first one was Ian.
Ian, yes.
That nobody in and around your area, I think, was completely ready for. I think it was going to go south, and then it was going to go north, and it ended up coming right to you in the middle.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be a direct hit for Tampa. We're 2 hours south of Tampa, and it was a direct hit for us.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes. So I know that put out some crazy pictures for everybody else that it wasn't, in and around, and I can only imagine what it was like being there. And I know I was there in June, and we were driving through Cape Coral and these massive houses with these massive like yachts and craziness. And then I'm seeing pictures of those same streets with like yachts in the street and like 2 feet of sand and like just craziness. Like, what did that look like? What did the storm do for your business? I know it was craziness with suppliers after that. And what happened? Like, walk me through the aftermath now that it's been a few months of the market, where you guys have had to pivot. What does 2023 look like? Because that's changed maybe the market as far as construction goes. Like, where are things at? Like, what does life look like now post Ian? And then you had a second hurricane that went by.
Hurricane Nicole, right after
later.
43 days later.
Boom.
From the other coast. So, which Ian blew the roof off of our shed. It blew it off one way to the west, and then Nicole came and it kind of blew it back from the east. So the roof is almost back on the one shed. But we have a lot of rebuilding to do. Our office was totally wrecked.
Wow.
We had 2 shops totally wrecked. We lost 3 trucks, 2 trailers, a lot of miscellaneous equipment. So it definitely unleashed a lot of havoc on us. We had to pivot a lot of our crews, from going, and instead of them, mowing properties, they were running chainsaws, they were running chippers, stump grinders, loaders, picking up tons of debris. So we had to pivot in that short time. And it was also, training employees how to run a chainsaw properly and safely. What are the things to look out for, like, the Widowmaker branches. And then it was also, almost every one of our employees had damage to their houses and residents. So it was being considerate, like, okay, we got to get in and clean up our communities, but we know that you need help with your places too. So it was making sure that they had ample time off to, meet with their insurance adjusters and things like that. But, mainly our number one goal was to go and make sure every resident was able to get in and out of their house, in and out of their garage. In the event they had an emergency, they needed to be able to pull their car out of their garage and make it to the hospital.
Yeah.
The challenges we were faced, I think they said almost 80% of our street lights in our county were gone. So
holy cow,
we were pulling up to, where it should be a street light, and it just turned into a 4-way stop. And, everybody, if people who had houses in Cape Coral, Fort Myers, their winter houses, everybody just came down to see the damage. And, then you have all the, people that try to steal and loot and illegal contractors.
Yeah.
So that just created challenges. Just what would normally take us, one property in particular that received most damage, it'd be a 22-minute drive. It was taking us almost 3 hours round trip.
Holy cow.
So, we faced challenges like that, rotting fish in the street. We had the tidal storm surge and, rotting fish in the street, backed up sewers and lift stations. So we had a ton of challenges. Fast forward to almost 5 months now, we still got boats in streets, roof. I mean, it's like every day you drive down the road and your low tire pressure comes on because roofing nails.
Geez, Louise.
Maintenance side, every day we're picking nails out of the mower tires, from roofs. So we have those challenges that we're trying to turn the corner and overcome those things. Fort Myers Beach, we're starting to do some work down there, and that just to navigate down there, it's insane. Some of the streets are still just non-existent, and there's boats, there's, cranes, there's, almost all the restaurants down on the beach that been there for 20, 30 years. Concrete buildings are just piles of concrete,
Louise.
just flattened. So, and it's trying to, still provide a quality service, but also being compassionate for the clients.
Yeah.
They went through a tragedy too.
Yeah.
So yes. Yep.
So is there, and I know that, you were doing pretty much anything and everything, just jumping right after the storm, and all the cleanups and all the different pieces of that and stuff like that. Is there still a pivot that happens? Like, are there services that change now? Are you kind of back into the normal routine of services and stuff like that now by this point? This is kind of your busier season because of snowbirds and stuff like that, when people are coming in and down and stuff like that, and for the winters and stuff like that. So has business been better because of there's so much more stuff to do? Has it been kind of like midway? Like,
it's kind of, it comes in waves. So we've kind of pivoted. We were doing the cleanup, and now a lot of it is some restoration. So we're getting calls, I'm meeting with clients, and, we're getting ready to do designs, but, we're waiting doesn't make sense to put plants in and then have the roofers come and rip off the roofs.
Right.
So our backlog is piling up, and, we're just waiting for a lot of the other contractors to finish some of their jobs. But it's definitely created a nice steady backlog of design builds. But it has also created some of the challenges. A lot of our local nurseries and palm tree farms were just completely flattened and annihilated. So, some of our big farms on Pine Island, the trees are there. Some of them had storm surge. Some of them, the canopies are gone. And, we don't know what the long-term effects are going to be. Yep.
Crazy. Is there something you guys like? Is there stuff that you guys need? Are there charities that people could get involved with if they wanted to get involved with something down and around you guys? Like, is there something that if somebody's listening, they're like, man, I want to help, but I don't know where to go? Is there any specific organizations of that that people can get involved with, or is that still too far out? Like, is that another 6 to 8 months, a year from now? Like, is it just still, we got to get the debris picked up and then we'll talk about everything else later?
It's, it's definitely challenging. The debris is, you could drive down the street. I know, like Fort Myers Beach, I think they said 4 million cubic yards of just construction debris.
Oh my gosh.
So, what used to be a flat, beach scene is now mountains of garbage. Luckily, our governor has stepped in and he has created a great infrastructure for getting us rebuilt. But FEMA has also come in. If your house received 50% damage, you now have to tear it down and rebuild.
Holy cow.
And we've heard so many people that, bought a $500,000 house and $250,000 in damage, and insurance isn't going to cover what it is to rebuild it.
Yeah, they'll cover $250,000.
Exactly.
You're left holding the note for another.
Yeah. So we've heard of challenges like that. As far as a lot of the organizations, we're trying to team up with Project Evergreen, and we're going to hope to rebuild some parks and stuff. But there's so many different charitable events. Yeah, it's just all about making sure that you donate to the right ones.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, appreciate you being on the show today, and thanks for taking the time to share some of your knowledge with all of our awesome listeners. And we will have you back on the show again in the future. Good. And so appreciate you. And guys, you know where to find us every Tuesday at 2 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Eastern time, right here on Turfs Up Radio. You're listening to The Green Dream with Luke Trukin. Until next time, guys, thank you so much.